Hey everyone, this is Strong Girl Knits, and I am back with an actual episode. Sadly, I don't have a lot to share, but I do have some projects I'm actually excited about. Since the last I've seen you, I've traveled across the country, and I went on my honeymoon in Ireland. We celebrated Christmas and the New Year, so there's the I guess the segue is New Year. New podcast. I don't know, I've got some things planned with my other segment that I had started, what I'm knitting to, so I will actually talk about that more when I release that video here in like a day or two after this one goes online. But yeah, let's go ahead and talk about knitting, because right now that's what we all want to talk about all the time. The first thing I actually finished was socks for my mother. I don't have them with me because I gave them to her for Christmas, and I will insert a picture. This is Knit Picks Felici. It's an older colorway. I think I bought this like 2-3 years ago, and then just never knit with it. My mom loves purple, and as a thank you for watching my cat and my rabbit while I was in Ireland, I knit her socks, which this was the only knitting I took with me over to Ireland. And so they're very well traveled socks, and she loves them. They're very soft. I think the colorway was called Sugar Violets. I'm not sure. Again, I will put this at the bottom, but I don't know, they were really pretty. I was knitting them and almost didn't want to give them to her. But I just did a simple kind of vanilla sock, but whenever the color changed, I would actually knit one and slip one. So it kind of like did this kind of effect between the colors whenever they changed. There's actually only like 1 or 2 spots where the color changed, and I didn't do it because it wasn't like suitable to do it in that section, but it's okay. The other thing I did finish though, this is a free pattern, and it's the Wonder Woman wrap. I was working on this like crazy, and then I put it aside to finish socks, the wedding socks I made for James and whatnot. So, and then I tried to, this sweater I'll show you in a minute, I again put this down because it's like, oh, I'm gonna try and whip off a full man-sized sweater, so that didn't, I gave up on that. But anyways, here's this. Anyways, I knit this from Cascade 220 fingering weight, and so for the red I used less than 50 grams, and the yellow I actually used a little bit more. So if you are planning on doing this, and I believe my gauge is correct, I never really checked because it's a Shaw, so you can possibly get away with just getting the whatever you use for the red color, get away with just a 50 gram ball. Goodness, it's been a while since I did this, but I have to weave in on the ends. So many ends. Okay, they're all wrapped up, doesn't matter. My one thing though, I don't know if the pattern was miswritten and has since been changed. I haven't checked on the page or anything, but this area, the dip of the W, it should be, how she wrote the pattern, it should be an equal triangle. No, equal number of stitches on each side. When I did it, I had more stitches left on the wing side for both sides of the W, which makes sense because how it's knit, this section is added on. This red and yellow is added on because it's not, yeah, you don't knit it all the way across like the rest of the shawl. So in my mind, it should be taking off more stitches on the other side, or at least when you're knitting the other part of it, you shouldn't be increasing stitches. So something was kind of lost in translation, I think, there, or maybe again I was doing it wrong. I don't really mind. I think it's fine. It makes more sense to me this way instead of having equal sides. And once it blocks out, you're really not even going to tell, and plus it's going to be wrapped around my neck, you know, scrunched up. No one's going to notice. So the only person that's going to notice is me, and I don't mind, so just that. On to what I'm actually working on at the moment. This is the Hank pullover sweater. from Interweaves Knits. I believe it's a winter issue. I don't remember exactly which one. So I'll put the information down here. This is just the body. This is one ball worth of the body, and then this is one of the sleeves where I finished all the increasing, and then I'm working on the other sleeve right now. Once I finish the increasing on that, I will join them for, you know, to knit 2 at a time and finish it because to whatever length the pattern said. I like this. It's a very, this is worsted weight. I'm using Knit Pick Brava in the Dublin colorway, and it is squishy. I like it. I like the texture, but the texture is a little annoying because it's a seed stitch. So it's, you know, one row you knit, the next row you knit one, purl one. So I think it's pretty, and I actually think the reverse side looks pretty. So here's what the right side, smooth, and then the reverse side is these bumps. Don't know if you can see that. So I like either side really, and I actually did modify the pattern. This pattern is supposed to be knit flat, and I'm knitting, pretty much everything will be knit in the round. It's going to be interesting when I get to the shoulders, if I'm just going to try and sew them on or maybe knit them together. We'll see how that goes. So anyways, I will share all of that with you. And so like I said, that's what I'm currently knitting. That's the size 6, I believe, is the needles, if I remember correctly. This is in my chemistry bag that my friend Sonia sewed for me. I almost said knit for me. Yeah. Okay, the other thing I'm working on, which I can't really, well, I've only gotten to the ribbing, but I'm actually designing some socks, sock pattern based on the Sanderson sisters from Hocus Pocus. It's if anyone doesn't know, which I don't know how you wouldn't know, but it is released in 1993. It's a Halloween movie produced by Disney, and it has Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, and I forget the other one's name, but her movie name is Mary. Really great movie. It's kind of cheesy, but it's so great, and if you haven't seen it, please watch it. The funny thing about Hocus Pocus, if you didn't know, it was actually released in July of '93 and not around Halloween, but still managed to get a cult following, I guess is what I think that's right. But anyways, these are based, so these socks are going to be for Sister Sarah, or Sarah Sanderson. I am using XL Trekking, and I don't remember the what do you call it, the brand for that. Maybe it is Trekking. No, I'm pretty sure it's Trekking XL is like the the yarn name, but not the brand. So I actually had finished, which I can show you this, I had finished the first sock of my original design. Kind of didn't like it, but was going to go ahead and knit the second one. But then I realized a bug had gotten and had bit a few holes into this, so I'm actually knitting off of this, which is fine. It gave me a great excuse to kind of start over. I mean, the design's going to be similar to what my first run is, but it's a little more simplified. But anyways, this way I'm going to knit them 2 at a time. I already have the ribbing done for one sock, and then I'm finishing up the ribbing for the second. That way I can then knit them 2 at a time and have one whole sock. I am actually knitting these for Kristen. The first one was, I mean, like, they were always originally supposed to be for Kristen, and now she will have socks, and they'll actually be a set of socks. And like I said, I'm designing this, so I have 2 more patterns, 2 more sock patterns to design. One is pretty much, the one for Sarah is set in my mind, and I'm going to knit it, and we'll go from there. And then for Winifred, that one's pretty much set in my mind, gonna go from there. The same thing's gonna happen with that. I've actually knit the first sock for Winnie, and then I'm gonna actually tear it out and knit that again. And then for Mary, I'd come up with a sock design and actually knit my rough draft and gave it to my mother-in-law for a couple Christmases ago, but I don't really like how it turned out, so I'm going to revamp that one again, if you're interested in test knitting any of these, Cheryl, you're gonna test knit this, please go ahead and contact me so I can go ahead and have kind of like a waiting list. And even if you want to and you don't contact me now, that's fine. It'll be totally fine. Yeah, that's really it. It's in my hearts bag. I love that. Now, for stash enhancements. Of course, when you go on a trip and you go to your dream trip that you've been imagining for at least 10 years, you have to get some yarn so you will always remember this trip, because how can you not get yarn? How? Anyways, especially when they have some really great local dyers there. Can we say Hedgehog Fibers? No, not Hedgehog. Yeah, Hedgehog Fibers. So, the first store I went to while I was there, this is Knit. It's in downtown Dublin. These women were so nice because when we went there, which my lovely husband gladly took me, it was Thanksgiving. And once they realized we were American, they were so polite, wished us happy Thanksgiving, even told us some of the local restaurants that they knew were having like Thanksgiving dinner, like themed food or whatnot. So that was totally great. If you're ever in Dublin for any reason, please check them out. They're great, super nice people. And we sat there and well, we didn't sit, but I was wearing a knit sweater. I was wearing the hat I knit for him specifically. And then I had, of course, knit socks on, and like ended up just showing her all of it. And they were so great because it's like, oh yeah, you know, they loved my knitting. And it was cute because later James was very proud of me to, because here I was showing off things I'd made, and you know, he's proud of my work. He thinks I do a good job, and you know, these people, you know, recognize that as well, or recognize that I did a good job. I'm gonna shut up. But anyway, so when I was there, I picked up a couple skeins of yarn. I saw this and I had to get it. This is Hedgehog Fiber sock yarn, and this colorway is Boombox. This is really pretty. Cheryl was excited to see it because she wanted to know what the hype was for it, and I can't wait to knit this. I have to determine the pattern I want, because I kind of want something that people will see. I want socks, but at the same time it's kind of like, but I want something right here where everyone's like oohs and ahs at it. This was pretty. It's really soft. It almost has like a cotton feel to it. It is, let's see, it's a 90% superwash merino and 10% nylon. It might be that nylon that's almost giving it a cotton feel, but it is so soft. And like I said, I'm excited for this. The other thing I knit, or bought, is, this is again a local dyer, Olann, O-L-A-N-N, made in Ireland. Let's see, I don't see a fiber content. Oh, yes, 80% superwash, 20% nylon, and this is called Moonlit. I actually had a hard time picking this one out because she had 2 or 3 different colorways of this, or like different colorways that I thought were really pretty. And this one, yeah, this is me. It's a very dark purple that almost looks black, and then you have this blue and some light purples. It's just blues and purples with some white, and it's, oh my gosh, it's really soft too. See, this one doesn't have a cotton feel to it, so maybe I'm wrong about that. Nylon giving Hedgehog Fiber a cotton feel, but and this one does say this is like sock yarn, so I'm not sure. I don't think, sorry for the crinkling. Yeah, well, it has nylon in it, so that's bound to be sock yarn. And then the second store I went to, and this was, what is this, Constant Knitter, which I have seen on, oh, I can't, Babbling Travels Yarn, I believe is her name. She is an Irish podcaster, which I didn't find out about her till I came home from my trip. But I got this at Constant Knitter. It's actually near the St. Patrick's Cathedral. It's on a very narrow street, and it is really pretty pretty inside. If I remember, I will put pictures of I didn't get any inside pictures of this. I went in and I kind of felt shy, whereas Let's Knit, I didn't feel so shy. There was actually people there, so I kind of was able to mosey around and get comfortable. The other one, I felt shy. So anyways, I got this. This is not Irish yarn, but I figured I could knit some, I would call them my Irish Christmas socks. And this is West Yorkshire Spinner, so at least it's international yarn. And I don't think it has a colorway. No, I'm not seeing it. 75% wool, 25% nylon. Yeah, I'm not seeing. Yeah, it says that. If anyone's curious. But I don't know. I was excited for this. Cheryl has knit with us before, and I have seen other podcasters that have knit with this, and I've only heard good things about it, so I'm excited. So that was all my Irish stash enhancement. I also got some fabric as well. I'm not gonna really show that right now. But from our Christmas party, which I tried to do Vlogmas at least for like the last few days, and like the last week kind of trailed off. We got super busy, and like there were some days like I didn't have anything and I just kind of forgot about it. And then the kids and we were making treats for Christmas, so that trailed off, and so I'm sorry about Vlogmas. But we did have, our knitting group did a Dirty Santa, or Naughty Santa, however you call it, White Elephant, whatever. Yeah, anyways, so this was my gift, which I don't think all the pieces are in here. So I got 2 hand lotions. This is Mary Berry, and then I got a fig smelling one that I actually keep at my office. They're really nice. You can get them at Bed Bath & Beyond. No, not that one. Bath & Body Works. So I got a knitting row counter, which I can use. Got a couple stitch markers, some plastic ones and some metal ones. And then just a nice little notions case, which I actually really like this. It has a big one and then smaller ones, so, and it all clips together. And then this was super cute. This is a Hiya size thing, and it goes all the way down to a 0.7 millimeter, also known as a 6-0 size. It's like a needle, like a sewing needle. That's ridiculous. And I'm trying to improve my lighting. I need a better setup. But anyways, it's a cute little sheep. I'm excited. I'm going to keep this. Yeah, it's going to stay in a bag so I know what I'm doing. But yeah, I was pretty excited. And it's nice because these stitch markers I can share with my girls. So, because I actually got my oldest daughter, stepdaughter, whatever, some yarn for Christmas with the intent of teaching her, because she can like knit hats. We've got that down, but maybe teach her, she can make her own set, like a hat and scarf, or hat and scarf, or gloves and a hat, whatever. She has enough there to at least make a hat with a scarf, or mittens and scarf, 3 balls of yarn, bulky weight yarn. So we'll just babble on. Yeah, that's all the knitting for now. So I'm gonna just chit chat about life for a bit, and then yeah, I will say before you log off, I am planning to try and do something with my other little the other video I've done with what I've been knitting to. That is in the plans to be a series, a monthly video, and I want to actually do kind of a knit along with that, a Netflix and knit along. So please tune into that video, which should be up after this one. So please look into it. It'll be fun, and hopefully I'm sure you will enjoy it. Now for life, I'm married. I've been married now for, oh fudge, 2, 3, it'll almost be 3 months now, here in a few days. So, or well, about a week. A week. Yeah, my honeymoon was great. The flights kind of sucked. The getting there wasn't so bad. It was getting there was only like 10 hours. Coming home was like 16 hours. But what wasn't so great getting there, our plane was only 6 seats across and it was cramped. But they fed us and the food was actually pretty good. I enjoyed it. But yeah, the only thing that really sucked was it was cramped. And poor James, his little, they have, if you've never been on like a larger plane or anything, they had on the like back of the headrest a personal TV so everyone could like watch their own thing. And yeah, it was actually pretty cool. I can't remember ever being on a plane where like a long flight plane. So anyways, that was nice. We flew United pretty much for everything. And the little express ones, so like once we were in the States, we had to take like express planes like to our final, like from our start to the on, and then from our last US flight back home. They were these United Express planes, and those were tight, like tight. But anyways, that was fine. Once we landed, we were tired, but we got lucky where like all our hotels and B&Bs, if we showed up like beforehand, they were always very accommodating and just went ahead and checked us in, no problem. Especially, it was Grateful, our first hotel. We got there, I think we showed up at the actual hotel like before noon. I was like, I know it's early, I just wanted to check, and she was like, oh yeah, we'll just check you in. So amazing. Such great people. I appreciated that. Our first night was actually it wasn't Shannon, it was like north of Shannon. And then from there we spent 4 nights in well, actually, let me correct that. It was 2 nights in a town outside of Dublin and then 2 nights inside Dublin. Then we went and did 2 nights in Cork, 1 night in Blarney, and our last 2 nights in Limerick. It was all really great. I really don't have any complaints about any of the places we stayed. Our first one was a nice hotel, and then the second one was a hotel inside a converted castle, which we looked back at the price and we got a heck of a deal. And then the next 5 nights were in B&Bs, which James kind of got tired of B&Bs after the 3rd night. So I felt fine. I liked them. It kind of felt weird being like in someone else's house, staying there. So it probably would have been better for him if we had managed to get like stay in a hotel a couple nights in between like our B&Bs at some point. So oh well. And then, but yeah, the B&Bs were nice. Our last hotel in Limerick was a super swanky hotel, super nice, and yeah, it was great. And thankfully almost everything was in walking distance of getting food. Or like the one in Dublin, well, the one outside of Dublin and in like on the outskirts of Dublin City, we had to take public transportation into town to get food, but that was totally fine because their public transportation was amazing. Like, I don't know, I loved the public transportation in Ireland, especially around Dublin. It was so great, so on time, and so there was like the actual commuter train, and then they had buses. Within the city there was buses, and you could also take buses like, I think, throughout Ireland. And then they had this kind of a zip line train, if that makes sense. I can't think what it was, but so it's like 3 different kinds of transportation within the city. It was easy to kind of get anywhere you needed, and you might have to hoof it a bit, but that's fine. There's that, and they have this great thing called a Leap card, which for visitors is perfect. If you ever go and you're there at least 3 nights, just get the Leap card, guys. I promise it will save you money and it'll be worth it. But no, I liked our first B&B in Dublin. It was great. We had an amazing view of the coast. The shower wasn't so great. It was like this tiny box, which even for me was a little tight. So for James, it must have been horrible. And it was like on the very outside of the house. So it was pretty cold, but the guy there was great and the food was great. Like breakfast was pretty awesome and the bed was nice. Cork, it wasn't like an amazing view, but really it was a nice big bathroom and a nice shower. The bed was a little stiff and our hosts were very chatty, whereas James and I are kind of more private people and we kind of figure out things on our own. And from there we had to do a pretty decent hike every time we wanted to like go in and eat, because they were, I don't think it was quite a mile to kind of get to Cork Center from there, but the public transit there, it wasn't as easy to get like a visitor pass, or at least we didn't figure that out. But it was no big deal. My feet hurt so bad by the time we got home from our 2 weeks over there. And then, but oh my gosh, the food everywhere was so great. The next B&B we stayed at Blarney, which was amazing. Within walking distance of town center, that I got a salmon omelet for my breakfast there. Seafood, so fresh. We had oysters, fresh raw oysters for the first time. Just mine was blown all the time over there. When people say it's green over there, they're not lying. We you know, showed up towards the end of November, which around here everything's gray and dead. It was alive. Everything was so alive and just amazing. I don't know, I could just go on and on how much I love it. And I appreciate the tipping system over there. They don't have it. Apparently, though, everyone gets paid decent enough, and they're actually, like, I don't know, I almost felt like we had better waiters and bartenders at the places that there was no tip. Like, there was, the more touristy places had it, excuse me, where you could tip them, and I figured, so not that they were any, you know, less good, I feel like that I said that wrong, but I don't know, it was just so nice and comfortable at the places we went to that there was no tip expected and everyone was nice. And there was cider, hard cider, like alcoholic cider everywhere, like on tap everywhere. Their two major brands are Balmer's, I believe is how you pronounce it. I didn't like that. But then they had Orchard Thieves, which to me tasted almost just like Angry Orchard, which is my preferred brand, or Wicked Grove, which is Aldi's brand. But I loved it, and although I have no desire to drink now since we have gotten home. But yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna wrap this up. My battery's dying, so